one of the things that's interesting is, for those of us who have a measure of discernment, we can look across society and see that there are things that are changing. Whether it's the increase of occultism that's happening even within the church nowadays, the increase of perversity, the increase of sorcery, and all these kinds of things. And we can look across the span of human history and then compare that to where we are today, and we can definitely see a rise in something. And even though that's the case, I found in my own life that we still have to be intentional. because if we're not aggressive, our hearts can go to sleep. And when our hearts are sleeping, then we become susceptible to all kinds of things that we normally would not become susceptible to. I mean, when you're awake, no one can attack you without you being aware of it. But when you're sleeping, somebody can walk up to you and slit your throat, and you never have a chance to defend yourself. And so it behooves us as believers, especially as end-time believers, to do our best to make sure that we don't allow anything to lull us to sleep, because the world is going to be very intentional about trying to cause the believer to fall asleep. And in my own life, it's been times where I've been casual, like I said in my post, times where I've been casual, laid back, and passive, that I found myself in the worst places in God as a believer. And in my next 20 to 30 years, I want to be intentional. And that word is, is very, very important. I want to be aggressive. I want to be purposeful about paying attention, watching what's going on around me, watching and paying attention to the inner garden of my own heart. And whenever I see something growing in there that's opposed to Christ, to deal with them. I just recently had to do that, to deal with it in the grace of God, and ask God for grace to walk in accordance to His purpose and to His law, His government. So may the Lord help us to do that, because what we don't want to be is like the guy who drives 60 miles per hour because he has his foot on the pedal, and then he takes his foot off the pedal and he's coasting, and he's expecting to continue moving at that same velocity, the same rate of speed, and it just cannot happen. So may the Lord help us to sorry about that. May the Lord help us to press in, to strive and to labor like both Jesus and Christ exhorted us to in this last and final hours.